us joy from ARs to Glock.
They don't bring us joy.
I was wondering about that part.
Well, that was the DNC campaign platform bringing.
I think so. I think so. Oh, wait, hold it. Hello there. Yes, we're back. It's the Gun Cranks. I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Weed, along with American Handgunner editor Tom McHale, and substituting for the beautiful Roy Huntington, we've got Eric Gelhaus. He's the editor of American Cop. Hey there, gentlemen.
I feel like Eric behaves more, though. So
he tends to, except. As I've pointed out before, you ought to see him before the camera goes on, or if he's had a cocktail. We had to actually dump that episode. So
that was a shot.
It was a good one, though.
Yeah, I believe one of those people with the public face and the private face. Okay.
Well, I think wasn't it Tom that drug him to the bar before?
No, I think it was your Biffy.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm telling you, we go on Patreon. We charge $29.95 a month, and you get the unvarnished version. It would probably actually go pretty well. So, anyway, like I said,
turn on the camera 10 minutes early next time, just to.
Well, we ought to be saving all the splice stuff for a special reel of all the big words and all that. Like last week when I had a reaction, and I've gotten a whole bunch of emails, people wanting to know what Roy actually said. And let me tell you, I'm not going to say. It was awful. We even discussed it in a meeting. And even Roy said, that was awful. Why did it come out of my mouth? So you can use.
And that's why Eric is here.
And that's why Eric is here. Roy is on double secret probation. Well,
he had the better choice. This is not good.
Yes. Okay, well, we've got a couple of fun things to talk about today. But beforehand, Tom, do you have your prop handy?
I do.
And it is Roy Huntington's new book, The Insider. And it is, what do they call it? Without reading the cover, 20 years of... I can't
Indiscriminate deliberation on timely topics.
Right. That's right. And it is. And if you guys have checked it out, I've had mine for a little while now, and it's a great read. It's a great bedside read. It can even be used in the smallest room of the house. So all color. So if you go to FMG,
it depends which version you order. I haven't checked that out yet, but
true.
It's available in full color.
Yes. And Roy has said he will autograph them if you send them to him. And I already had an email today about that. So go to fmgpubs.com and you can order it. Or if you go to that Amazon and search for Roy Huntington, it will pop up and your money will go to our evil corporate overlords. So if you go to FMG Pubs, that's where you should buy it.
Yeah.
So anyway, The Insider, Roy's wonderful book. It's a collection of his insider columns from Tom's American Handgunner magazine, where Roy was the editor at one point. So
until he got fired for saying inappropriate things, but
it was awful.
Yeah.
So the other big thing is it's sweeping the nation. It's sweeping the internet. It's the magic baboon. And hopefully, I'm not even going to explain what it is, because by now I think people should be part of the inner circle, the regular viewers, and they know what the baboon is. So, Eric, what does the baboon say today?
Absolutely.
See, it never fails.
So that's actually going to work out really well for today's topic, isn't it?
It is. It is. You know what scares me, though, is the company has started making like stock purchase decisions based on the baboon. And
I get these emails Monday morning, right? Like, what do we think? Shake.
Eric, rotate your camera for just a second, just in case anybody doesn't. There we go.
There's the
baboon.
You
go.
The angry baboon.
Okay. Always hovering in the background, like one of those little angels and devils that sit on your shoulders, right?
And there's only one of them.
Just the devil. Okay.
There you go. Well, our topic today was suggested by none other than Tom McHale, the editor of American Handgunner magazine, by one of our famous writers who is an institution in among himself. And now that I've opened that door, Tom, you jump through it and explain today's topic.
Well, first, Eric, you don't have to keep your camera slicing half your face off, but we just had to say hello, to your friend in the background here. So we already have the answer, though.
Baboon.
It's done. I'm not even sure we need a discussion because today's topic was, should you ever fire a warning shot? The baboon says, absolutely. Right.
Let's see that in a court of law.
Disagreement?
Some baboon on the internet told me it was okay.
No, but seriously, I think it seems to be a default strategy for a lot of folks out there. It's like, fire a warning shot first, just everybody away and blah, blah, blah. And I have a feeling that some people on this discussion might have differing opinions.
Well, I can't imagine that. But like I said, to circle back real quick before we go there, Massad Ayoob was the one who kind of addressed this in a column that's coming up in an American Handgunner. You want to kind of just skim the cream off the top, and then we'll dive in with both.
Sure. The way this all started, I was doing some editing this week. I know it happens on rare occasion. And I was working on the next issue of the Ayoob files. That's our January, February 25 edition. Those of you who get Handgunner are familiar with the Ayoob files. Massad goes into deep dives on real world cases and focuses a lot on the aftermath and learnings and, what kind of things all of us can learn from what actually happened, both on the street and later, especially in the courtroom. He found a case where a warning shot was used, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think I'm on safe territory saying Mass is firmly in the camp of never ever fire a warning shot. If you're going to use a gun, you better be using it. Don't be firing warning shots. But just because there's always an exception to every rule, he found a case where it kind of appears the right answer might have been for this person to fire a warning shot. Right? We can't give away the whole story, but pick up that issue of American Handgunner, and it'll be online afterwards, and you can read the whole thing. But we'll talk about the concept today.
Yeah.
So, Eric, you think it's a good idea, right?
No, the baboon.
Scare away the bad guys.
The baboon at the 8-ball thought it was a good idea.
Absolutely, is what I recall hearing.
That's what the magic 8-ball said.
Yeah.
So most law enforcement agencies probably say it's safe to say the vast majority of them are like, no, don't fire warning shots, not ever, no, period, and full stop. The agency I worked for, we were a little bit different. Our policy was they were strongly discouraged, but they were not forbidden. And as a result, in my 29 years there were 3 that I know of, 2 of that I know enough about to have an opinion on.
One per decade.
One per decade.
Yeah.
That tells you everything right there.
And, we were a pretty good sized agency, 300 sworn road deputies covering like 1,700 square miles. One of them was justified, like the way it was explained, and it worked and it ended the problem. One of them was probably a negligent discharge.
I swear it was a warning shot.
Really sure I could hang my hat on that one. And it was early on in my career, so I didn't catch everything. And then the third one, I just never got any circumstances on. So I would come down in the category of, I won't say never, but there's not a lot of reasons I can think of. Never mind where are you going to put the round, right? Which direction do you fire the shot?
And there's an attorney attached to every single bullet.
Yeah, because
it's guys put down there.
It's going to hit something at some point.
Yep. Well, and I think the interesting question here is, what good does it do? The bad guy may stop what he's doing, but he may not. And then what else are you going to do? We're going to have to shoot the guy. So, it's not really something that you'll even really be able to say later, well, it worked because he stopped. Well, maybe he was going to stop anyway, or maybe you were going to have to shoot him anyway without having to put a round through somebody's window. There's way too many variables. And I will say, I was thinking I'd completely forgotten about this in my own experience. Didn't happen to me, happened to my agency right before I came on. But Eric, if a guy is hitting a guy with a revolver and he's got his finger on the trigger and it just creases the guy's ear, kind of like President Trump, would you say that's does that qualify as a warning shot?
No.
I think he tried to float that at first. Well,
it was like that one that wasn't justified in my agency where the round went into the roof right over the person's head. Yeah. No.
Oh, okay.
So do you remember the circumstances on the first one you mentioned? I know it was a long time ago, but I didn't know if you happen to
Yeah,
remember what the situation was.
There had been a commercial burglary. It had gone to a vehicle pursuit. It went to a foot pursuit in a rural area, and it got to the point they were like going over hill and dale, and straight line was maybe 20 yards, but if you had to like travel it because of going up and down hill, right,
Yeah.
there was going to be a whole lot more distance involved. And it was stop or bam. And the bad guy went, oh, he's serious. I give.
Yeah.
And that was post Tennessee versus Garner, by the way.
That's about the time I came in onto the job, and that just changed everything. You know, it kind of put some limits on when we could shoot people. So yeah, the whole warning shot thing kind of went away at that point. But you know, I was sitting here thinking of actually, there's been a number of warning shots I can think about anecdotally. Again, it was about the time I came on, and there was a lot of tire shooting going on back in the day before I came on, and tire shooting's not a real great idea either. Again, some agencies don't forbid it, but it just didn't work. But really, again, overall, what's the goal? You think the guy's going to stop? Maybe he will. But I remember the old guys used to tell me, don't fire a warning shot. It just makes them run faster.
What I mentioned this in the pre-show, but I went and did a little bit of web searching before, and I was looking for an example of like a warning shot having gone bad. But what everything pointed me to was back in 2017 when the Police Chiefs Association, I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, they were pushing warning shots as part of the national consensus on police use of force in the aftermath of Ferguson, and that, you know, maybe if cops start firing warning shots, crooks will realize that they're about to get shot and cops won't have to use deadly force. Well, the problem is, where in the heck is that round going?
Yeah.
You can't tell everybody always down. You can't tell everybody always up, right? Especially not up, because it's going to come back down somewhere. And that you had
down on a street or a sidewalk, or
yeah, that you had chiefs of police pushing the idea of warning shots.
Yeah. Well, that was the IACP, wasn't it?
IACP, thank you.
Yeah, that's when I realized they've completely lost their damn minds and lost touch with reality,
Yes.
and were busy kissing their politician bosses' fannies, because that is just flat stupid. And there, I'm on my soapbox now. And another thing, stay off my lawn. But no, that's just,
we're right up there with perf on that one.
all right. So let's skew this in a slightly related direction. You kind of hit on some of the law enforcement angles for why not to do it and why it's a dumb idea. What about for the non-LE concealed carry citizen?
I'd say it's even less of a good idea for them. Yeah, I'm not going to make jokes about it on this, right? If cops aren't getting the benefit of the doubt on anything, in a lot of places, the decent, normal human beings are going to get less of a benefit of the doubt. And decent, normal human beings aren't tasked with going out, finding bad guys and trying to arrest them, right? If a decent, normal human being's using deadly force, which once you press the trigger and launch the projectile, that's where you're at, right? They don't have the other tools. They're not expected to have the other tools. It's for their defense of self or others, right? Immediately defense of life. And that warning shot isn't going to fall into that. And unless there's some very significant changes in the law, I wouldn't argue for that at all.
Yep. And there's the whole thing, you know, I keep going back to the practical application. Let's say you're in a situation, you can fire a warning shot. Is it really going to make a difference? Is the bad guy going to stop? The old guys, as I said before, they knew what they were talking about, that tends to make them run harder, fight harder, maybe now decide to shoot you, whereas they were just going to try to resist to get away. It introduces even more variables, more adrenaline, more pucker factor, and then the risk on top of that. It just doesn't seem like a real good idea for any reason.
And in my case, I mean, clearly, you know, I focus on the armed citizen perspective on things. The concealed word to me means everything. Mm-hmm. My gun that I carry is concealed until, if I don't unconceal it, I will die, or I have a very good chance of dying or getting gravely injured. Right.
Yep.
So to me, the whole idea of pulling it out as a warning shot, That's like, well, I'm kind of serious, but I'm not really serious. It's not life and death, but it's kind of bad.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? It's just, no, my gun doesn't come out until there is no other alternative, period. And I think that's the thing that scares me the most about it is just and you know what? Maybe it's because we spend all day reading things like IUP files and you guys lived it every day, you know, seeing people go rot in jail and, you know, spend 200 grand of money they don't have on trying to defend themselves from lawsuits, from pulling out a gun when it didn't need to be pulled out. Right. But there's a lot of people are really quick to say, well, just pull out my gun and wave it around. I mean, watch the videos on YouTube and, you know, unless you're prepared to go the full measure.
I was going to say
where it is.
Eric, you've been in court an awful lot. Can you imagine the plaintiff or the prosecutor asking you, what do you mean by it was kind of getting serious? Can you define what kind of getting serious is? That would be.
We, the system, have really good arguments, even when we have stuff written down by 9 fairly intelligent, competent folks wearing black robes, right?
Yeah.
We still argue about that. I can't imagine the arguments that would come with this.
Yeah.
And I just can't see putting it out there.
Okay, here we go. What does the baboon say?
Hold on.
He took it under advisement. Well,
Cannot foretell now.
Okay, so I feel like we made some progress with the baboon. We convinced him a little bit. Right?
He took it under advisement. He'll issue a ruling maybe next show on the gun cranks. So, wow. Okay, this could go wrong in a lot of different ways. You know. Oh well, let's not. Any closing thoughts, gentlemen?
Nah, not on the warning shot issue. I think we covered it.
Okay.
Don't
do it.
Yeah,
don't put it into your what if thinking and your strategizing. Don't do it. Don't do it.
And if you have,
while you're at it, keep your gun in your holster until it's that serious where you need to pull the trigger.
And I would say the accepted legal standard is no warning shot. So if you have an instructor of some type telling you, "Oh, I think it's okay," unless you work for that person, don't do what they say. So they're not following current legal guidelines. So, okay. Well, that was heavy stuff, but I think we hopefully gave a few reasons why it's just a bad idea. But now something that has been circulating, it's been circulating for a while, and finally the mainstream media has picked it up. And we were having a delightful conversation before we hit record on this. But hopefully you have seen what our producer Ashley is getting ready to pop up here on the screen. And let me put my spectacles on. Have you seen this, kids? This is a U.S. Navy commander who was handed a rifle for a photo opportunity, and he's been relieved of command. And I've verified that, at least through the mainstream media. That's exactly what happened. But let's stop and think about this. Now, Tom, I know you're known for your handgun shooting. Is there anything about that rifle that strikes you as different?
It's scary.
It's scary. It's a black, scary gun.
It is scary. It looks, yeah. I just can't. I can't even. I spent a lot of time behind a rifle as well. But here's the thing. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to shrink the target through his optic.
Okay.
And then if you look really closely, it's so small that he had to cover it up with the scope cap on the front.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you haven't figured it out by now, the scope's on backwards. So they handed in this gun. He pretended to kill the ocean. And he's also his stock weld in his shoulders, not the best in the world. But I also noticed that, well, to back up, the photo came out, it was an official U.S. Navy photograph from a public information officer. And it was something like, Commander such and such is doing a great job shooting the ocean during target practice. And I don't even think we have to take a vote on this. We've all agreed this gentleman was set up by his crew. Absolutely. Because I'm pretty sure that scope didn't just end up on that rifle that way. I mean, they've got a rack of rifles. You'd think you'd notice one scope backwards.
Well, look at the front. The scope cap is closed.
Exactly.
You can't see. Not only is it shrunken, no, you can't see anything through it. Yet
And
there's brass in the air.
Yep. And the other thing I noticed,
That's on burst mode.
Yeah.
That's not on semi. That's on burst.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed, having been to many classes, taught a few myself, and I think Eric will chime in. He, is staff member at Gunsight Academy. Somebody's got their hand on the commander's shoulder. What that means is he's probably not competent, and they're not secure that he's competent. They need to keep physical contact with him. Wouldn't you say that would be your inference of what that means?
Yeah, they're clearly going to make sure he stays oriented in one direction and doesn't move, or let the punishing recoil of a 5.56 millimeter round knock him over.
But it was burst mode.
I hate to disagree with you, but if you look at the brass in the air, those look like 50s to me.
Stop. Just stop with your 0.556 millimeter stuff. No.
You know what it could be? We've all done a lot of these setup photos for different things. Do you think maybe there was a sailor standing below that threw up a handful? Maybe he didn't actually fire the weapon.
Hey, if you're going to set him up, go all out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as I said, he got relieved, and it's been in the mainstream media that after an investigation. Now, Eric, you were in the military. I was not. Tom was not. Eric, what do you think that means, that after an investigation, they just didn't say boo on you for being a dummy? They canned him. They took him off the boat.
I'm going to guess that somebody looked into the photo and what led to it. Like, why was the optic on there backwards in the Marine Corps is making fun of everybody in the Navy? And that led to maybe we're not big fans of the boss for various reasons. And that there were enough people who said they weren't fans of the boss. I'm going to guess that led to the crisis in confidence in his command.
Yep. That took some stones. That took some serious. Either somebody just flat didn't care, or there was a lot of.
I'm going to go with option A, driven by option B.
Well, in fairness, though, if you were the people that set this up, you did not have to worry about getting shot by the commander. He was not going to hit you, anytime in the near future. So,
see, now I just thought of something else. Maybe the gun is mounted backwards. Maybe the scope is oriented properly, and they just reverse the gun.
Pure accident, of course.
Yeah, accident.
The gun's mounted backwards. Great, Brent.
Well, you got to think outside the box, Eric.
Why did I tell you about that opportunity you have coming up? Why did I let you go instead of just jumping on it myself? Anyway,
okay. Wow. Blackmail right here on the internet, or potential blackmail. So anyway, so what does the baboon say about this highly respected member of the United States Navy?
Hold on. No. Just N-O, that's it.
It's a primate of few words.
That freaking baboon has been great. It's crazy. It's been great.
It was the best expense we've done.
I hope you did expense that, right?
Yes.
We're using it on the show. Wow. All right. Well, this has gotten absurd at this point. Of course, no more absurd than a commander in the United States Navy mounting a scope backwards with the scope cap closed and firing off bursts of ammo. But in all fairness, the ocean covers 3/4 of the globe, so there's a good chance he didn't miss. He's got that going for him. Wow. So
I think we can close with the moral of the story. If you wanted to learn to shoot a rifle, enlist in the Marines, right?
Or the Army. We're good with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or the Coast Guard. Or the United States Space Force. Don't forget them. Do they carry rifles? I know nothing about the Space
They're
Force.
Guardians. I don't know.
Phasers.
40-watt plasma rifle. Who knows?
Well, that'd be cool to have. Well, if you're a, what do you even call them? Space people? Space?
They're Guardians. They
Guardians?
call them
Okay.
Guardians.
I know literally nothing other than they've got a lot of stuff around Cape Canaveral they do. So if you are one of them, those people, leave us a comment down at the bottom and tell us what you're armed with. So if you can, maybe it is the Illudium Q35 space modulator. That's a possibility. So
where's the kaboom?
See, if Dabs was here, he could tell us precisely what the rifle in Aliens
Oh,
was.
and
He
he's
wrote a
built
story
3 of them.
about that once. I can't remember it now.
Yeah.
Where is he
exactly.
when you need him?
Well, we'll invite him one of these days
There
to
you go.
the Gun Cranks. Well, as we always say, don't forget, leave us a comment down below. We're one of the few big places on the internet in the gun world that we actually read all those comments. And trust me, it gets old after a while, but there's a lot of good ones there. So we want to know what you guys are thinking. And that's what we base our show upon. We actually had some, they asked where'd the Hold My Beer segment go? And we hadn't got a single email on it before that. So we didn't get an email, and then we do away with it, and now we're suddenly getting emails. So your voice does matter to us. And other than those that say you guys need to go do something else, we'll ignore those. But the rest of them, we listen to what you're saying, ask us questions, comments, and make sure you go out and buy Roy Huntington's book, The Insider, at fmgpubs.com. And of course, please check out all of our websites: American Handgunner Magazine, AmericanHandgunner.com, AmericanCop.com, and some little old magazine called Guns Magazine, which, gentlemen, you know, we're coming up on the 70th anniversary of Guns Magazine.
And you've been editing the whole time, right?
I wish. No, I stand on the shoulders of giants.
I met your age.
Do what?
I met your age.
I knew that. I was completely ignoring you. No, but truly, I do stand on the shoulders of giants, and looking at all the names that have been the editor and written for us over the years, pretty much all the famous guys. It's pretty cool. No, it's actually quite disturbing that they called me up to the big leagues to be the emperor of Guns Magazine. So hopefully I'll hand this off to somebody who's qualified someday soon. So anyway, check out our various and sundry magazines, and of course the Guns Magazine podcast available on YouTube and any place where you get podcasts. And we last we heard, we're number 2 on Apple for gun podcasts in the hobby section. So that's pretty cool too. So anything else I forgot, gentlemen? We didn't talk about Mike Venturino. His book's still out there. You can check that out on FMG Pubs. Smith & Wesson special edition. Anything else, Tom, I've forgotten?
No, don't fire warning shots.
Don't fire warning shots.
No.
And if you do, make sure the gun isn't mounted backwards to the optic. Well, no comment, Eric?
No. Didn't need to.
This is going to be one of those, as soon as we hit end, it's going to be, really? Were you serious? Yes, I was serious. It could be. Maybe the world was so inverted that, never mind. Okay. On behalf of everybody who works so hard here at FMG Publications, and especially Eric Gelhaus, Tom McHale, and the absent Roy Huntington, who will darn sure want to come back for next week, I am Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat, and we'll see you next time on The Gun Cranks.